Monitoring the Kubernetes cluster, section 5. In this section, I will show you in the first video how to set up and run Prometheus. In the second video, I'll show you how to set up Grafana for graphing and the information from Prometheus with custom dashboards. In the third video, I'll show you how to log your application using a sidecar container with a logging agent. And the fourth video, I will show you to troubleshoot the pod and/or your deployment. How to set up and run Prometheus. So in this video, I will tell you what is Prometheus, and I'll show you an example of the installation of Prometheus. So what is Prometheus? Prometheus is a monitoring and time system database. It monitors your Kubernetes and all your pods and all your nodes automatically. It stores it in a time series database, which you can put on a volume if you want to. Also, it's an open source system that has a dimensional data model, flexible query language, and as told, a time series database. And you can plug in a modern alerting approach. Prometheus is 100% open source and community driven. All components are available under the Apache license on GitHub. So, Prometheus is a Sparta in the web. If you have the Prometheus server, it pulls from Kubernetes API. It auto-discovers all the objects. It pulls all the information, for example, from Traffic, Fluent, Apache or Redis. It pulls all the information of the Kubernetes nodes and all the Kubernetes components. You can put all the information on Grafana. I will show Grafana in the next video. Or you can push it also to Alert Manager, which can connect to webhooks or Slack or email. So it's really Sparta in the web. So if I show you the YAML file of Prometheus, I'll show you this in the Minikube. So if we start up Prometheus, we'll create a separate namespace for Prometheus. This because we want to keep Prometheus separated from other application. So we will create a namespace Prometheus. And in that namespace, we'll create a deployment. And this deployment we'll call Prometheus. And this deployment has one replica, has labels, just like a normal deployment. It has some extra arguments. So the config file has this location. And the storage has this location. So if you want to put persistent storage on Prometheus, be sure to take this directory in your persistent storage. This container you have to start up with a command. So when the container starts, it will run this command. So it will pull this image, the latest version of Prometheus. I recommend, if you have an DTAP environment, to pin the version. So it's always pulling the newest container. Name Prometheus has support. It has resource limits and some mount volumes. You see here it mounts data and the config volume. So the volumes data is an empty dir. So you can put in here your persistent volume information. And the config file is in a config map. It's created like a file, has an rights to it, and has name Prometheus config. In this file also will create the config. So on this deployment, we've got an endpoint and servers. So we'll create the servers, app, label Prometheus, just like in the deployment. So it has a cluster IP. It's sticky. You can change this or leave it out. It doesn't matter. Exposing this through node port. This is the internal port. So type node port. And also Prometheus needs access to the complete cluster to the queries. So we have to create a cluster role and the cluster role binding. We'll start with the cluster role binding. So the cluster role binding is connecting to a cluster role with the name Prometheus. And also it's connecting to a service account with the Prometheus and on the namespace Prometheus. So if we create pod like or the deployment in the namespace Prometheus, the deployment will get the rights of this cluster role binding and this cluster role. So the cluster role has resources, nodes, node proxy, services, endpoints, pods. It get, list, watch. So no create. So it's only getting the metrics it wants. So, and also we need to create service account because it's on the namespace. So namespace Prometheus. And then we've got the config map. The config map is a file which we're mounting in the pod. You've seen that before. So Prometheus.yaml, that's the config file. So let's scroll to the endpoint. And so config map has some metadata. So this is the config. This is the complete YAML of Prometheus. So if we start that, we'll do control and then create the deployment or the YAML file. Start giving the YAML file. So type enter and you'll see it's already existent. And that's done. So if we create the Prometheus installation or the pods, we'll type the following command, control, create -f file, and then you will see creating the namespace, that's the first one. It's creating the deployment, service, cluster role binding, cluster role, service account, and config map. -n for deployment. You will see we've got one deployment of one pod that's running and it's working. Let's have a look at service. Because it's a node port, we have to connect with the browser to Prometheus. So we'll see Prometheus is running on a node port, no external IPs of course, and on this node port. So we're in a minikube, so we have to get the minikube IP. So we can connect on this IP and this port. Let's do that. The browser, I'm connecting to the Prometheus. Prometheus has a difficult interface. So you can see targets here. So it's pulling everything from my minikube and it's saying something is not working because the certificate is not valid. That doesn't matter. This is a minikube system, so it has some problems with some targets. So this is a running Prometheus. You can put in expressions here, but it's a lot and really difficult. So you've got everything you can think of in the Kubernetes system. I'm not gonna create some graphs here. You can create graphs here, but I can show you something like container CPU load average. You can type it in or select it here. Do execute, you will get a lot of data here. There's nothing in here yet because we just started, and then do a graph. It will give you a graph of what you just selected. But what I said, this is a difficult interface. The Grafana interface is much easier. I will show you that in my next video.